Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you all. Hi, Guy.
Hey, Carla. Are you back home?
I am back home. Yes, we got back home late Wednesday night.
Okay. I could tell you were doing a lot of extra stuff and I look fine.
Yeah, no, the FIABCI Malaysia trip was fantastic. And then we got our flight actually on the way home was canceled. So that's how we ended up in Japan. So
Oh, wow.
we were literally at the gate at the airport flying back from Malaysia to Singapore to catch our leg on the way home. And I had a text from Delta that said, "Oh, by the way, your whole flight, your whole trip home's been completely canceled. You might want to give us a call." So yeah, sat at the gate right before we got on and rebooked the flight, and that's how we ended up in Tokyo for a day. So, it
I'd take
happens.
that. I love
That
Tokyo.
was fun. I'd never been. So yeah, I got that extra stamp in my passport and wasn't prepared to be going to Tokyo, but it's all good.
Cool. Cool.
How is everybody? Elizabeth, good to see you.
Good to see you. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Teresa, how are you? Brianna, old friend Bill. Everyone doing well?
Good morning. Well,
These
it's
are
still
always
morning in Chicago.
These are always like the romper room. Remember romper room?
Indeed.
Yeah, I had to cancel last minute because my the boarding place suddenly decided that they don't want to take single or double dogs. If your dog can't be in a play group of more than 10 other dogs, they aren't taking your dogs anymore. And I'm there like, you tell me this last minute.
Yeah.
But I was there in spirit.
It was a good conference, yeah. And the study tour in Malaysia was great. So I'll chit chat with all of you about that in another time. But no, it was wonderful. It was bloody humid in Singapore, but other than that, Singapore is beautiful. Just the timing wasn't right at the end of May, beginning of June. All right. Well, I say we get started. What do you think, Richard?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Wonderful. Well, thanks
Oh.
everyone for being with us today for our first Friday in June. We're happy to have you. Today we have with us Richard Silver, and Richard was one of our guest speakers for our spring symposium in Toronto. I've known Richard for a number of years, so when we knew we were going to be going to Toronto, we reached out and said, "Hey, we want you to speak," because he always has some great information for us. So I'm just going to read just a couple bullet points off his bio. And then we're just gonna have a bit of a chat about some of the things that are going on for all of you. So Richard is with Silver Burtnick and Associates with Sotheby's International Realty. He is a fervent advocate for the transformative power of AI in real estate. He has been acknowledged by Inman News as one of the top 100 most influential people in real estate back in 2013, and serving as an Inman Connect Luxury Ambassador because of his industry impact. He is multilingual in French and Spanish, and he continues to broaden his reach and influence. His journey from recognizing the internet's potential to championing AI in real estate underscores his vision for a tech-forward industry that benefits buyers and sellers alike with cutting-edge strategies and insights. So, Richard, I know you're so impressive.
Just for a clarification, my Spanish is sort of like hola, amigo.
So he's not fluent, but you're
Dos,
you're conversational.
dos cervezas, por favor.
Exactly. So full disclosure for everybody, even though Richard is from Toronto, he actually is broadcasting today from his home in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, which I think is why he kind of had to start learning some Spanish, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And
So,
I just got my residency 2 days ago. So the difference in Mexico is with your residency, if you have permanent residency, you're treated more like almost a citizen, and not that you can vote, but you get lower taxes, lower capital gains, etc. So those of you who are thinking of getting second homes, especially in Mexico, there is definitely apply for your residency here as well.
how long did that take you to get, Richard?
I hate to tell you, it was like I had a consultant who did it, and I went for one appointment in Toronto and then another one here. And my one here was 2 days ago, and it took me an hour and a half to get my card,
Oh
which
my
gives
goodness.
me basically permanent residency. But you need it. You need it if you're going to sell the property that you own. You need it if you're going to have a car here, if you're going to buy a car, if you're, your insurance, and the amount of tax you pay will it'll be ameliorated quite a bit by having your residency.
Mm. And what do you do? 6 months Toronto, 6 months Mexico?
Right now, 5 months Toronto, 5 months Mexico, the rest in Toronto, and traveling to events like, in the States and stuff like that. But,
Right.
it's that time of life for me, guys. I don't know about you, but
Living the dream.
well, it's been a 30-year dream that is now coming to life, and that's
Well,
important. We all
yeah.
need, what's one of the biggest things that's always motivated me. I'm the guy who, when I start in January, I already know the trips I'm going to take over the year and a half coming up, and it just keeps motivating me to keep moving ahead. A lot of times I'll say to friends, well, how come you're not, you don't have anything planned in the works? And I just, from my first year in real estate, which was 45 years ago, believe it or not, it was the first thing I did is I started making a plan for a trip or something that I wanted, and that motivated me to keep working.
So what's happening in Toronto, with the real
Well,
estate market, and how do you run your business back and forth?
we've had good news, and this week, for the first time in 4 years, our bank rate went down. It was at 5%. The bank rate is what we base our mortgages on. And the bank rate was at 5%, and for the first time in 4 years, it went to 4.5%. So everybody's been waiting for that to happen, hoping that it's going to make a change in the market, because it is still been, we've had a lot more listings than we've ever had the past 6 months, but they have not been moving at the pace we want. They're down 1 or 2% per month rather than being up, 3 or 4%, which is what we'd like. And we're hoping that this is going to make the change. It's always good when you get that mental attitude changing from the news media, et cetera, and from buyers who basically, especially first-time buyers who need the financing, and they're the ones that really move the market.
Are you seeing price resistance from your buyers like we are here in the United States?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny how just a small price reduction can make a huge difference. And, people will say, well, we thought our house was really well priced. And I said, well, let's just try, let's see what happens if we cut, $50,000 off the price. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Because there is that always, if I don't move on it and I really like the house, somebody else is going to get it. And then I'm really going to be upset. So, that
Mhm.
FOMO kind of theory with
Fear of
buyers.
missing out. I
Yeah.
know.
What I've
Yeah.
been doing is I keep saying to people, I mean, buy right now, because if you buy now, and we have what we have flexible mortgage, flexible rates that you can lock into when the rates go down. But buy now, because if you wait until the rates are down again to what they were 4 years ago, all of a sudden the market's going to be just crazy, and you're going to be dealing with a lot higher prices than you would if you buy now. You can negotiate and then just, lock in for a flexible mortgage until the rates go down. That's what I have, a small mortgage on my property in Toronto, and that's what I'm doing. I mean, it's been sitting there. I think I'm paying 6.5 or 7%, but on a flexible rate. And as it drops, I get the benefit of the drop. So once it really drops, I'll lock in.
Yeah, interesting times. So with everything that's going on and you going back and forth, I know you've been incorporating AI into your business. And you did a wonderful presentation for us for about 45, 50 minutes at our spring symposium. And there were just a lot of points I thought were really good that I wanted you to sort of go over today.
Sure.
Everyone knows about Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, just raise your hands if you're using AI at all. Everybody. So, few people. So
Yeah.
the rest of you are mostly like me. You're like, I'm not so sure I want to dip my finger into this. But you've embraced it full time. So I really want
Yeah.
you to talk to us about, getting over that hump, right? And I'll give you the line that I think really changed my mind. I was at a CRS conference in Las Vegas in February. And there was someone talking about AI, and I'm sitting back there. I went to see because I have to know, right? I need to know what's going on. I'm sitting in the back, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But this was a line that made me sit up and go, oh, darn. He said, AI won't replace real estate agents, but agents who don't embrace AI will be replaced. So
Exactly.
I was like, okay, got to do this, right? So lead me down this rabbit hole, and the rest of us that are with us, what we need to do, what you're using, how you're using it,
Yeah.
and how it's changed your market and your marketing.
So remember this thing we used to call the internet? And
Yeah.
we were all horrified that it was going to change our business and that we had to, we're not going to embrace it. And I don't even, I'm not going to get an email address. I don't want my clients to find me. I don't want to have a phone, I mean, those are all wonderful thoughts, but they're not reality. So the internet came, it was a huge influence in our business. It changed us. And then social media came. It was another huge influence in our business. A lot of people said, "Well, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't," and basically, you've watched the agents who don't use social media or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. They are not producing at the same rates that the newer agents who just adapt to it. So it's not an age thing because I'm as as you can probably figure out, I'm 75. I've been doing this for 45 years. And it's not an age thing. It's a
I was
matter
going
of
to
just.
say 58, but you're really.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I go to Dr. New Face. Yeah, it's a matter of just adapting. And AI is the best of those three. I think AI is the best because AI is a huge time saver for you. And the one thing that we have in real estate that we never seem to get back is the time. We put a lot of time and a lot of energy into things, and when our time is not being used well, that's the one that hurts because it takes us away from things like travel and our friends and our family. So I use AI as much as I can. Now, one of the things I'll tell you about, if you guys all click on the participants button and you go down, you'll see a couple of us using something called Autopilot. Richard's Autopilot, Karen's Autopilot. So what is that? And it's a really interesting thing. What you do is when you sign up for Autopilot, it looks at all of these events that you're going to or that you're supposed to go to. Like say I've signed up for a learning class through NAR that's online, and at the last minute I cannot go. But my Autopilot will go. It'll take notes, it'll take minutes, and it'll record the event. And the same thing, once you have something in your schedule and you've allowed access for Autopilot, it will even go and it'll be part of your conversations with your clients. Now, obviously, it would be nice. You need to tell your client that it's being recorded. You're doing a video, a Zoom call, and the Zoom is being recorded. But at the end of the day, it gives you notes. It gives them notes. And anybody who wants notes from this meeting, just let me know, and either myself or Karen, wherever she is there, can send it to you because we have Autopilot. So that's one of the things I would do right away is Autopilot is really good because, I'm sure that all of you, if you're in a great meeting and you miss certain things, you want to be able to go back to it. If you miss the meeting totally because you have to go out and show a house, you still haven't missed the meeting. You can listen to it. You can look at the main points and everything. It's very, very organized and it gives you the main points. So that's Autopilot, OTTER .ai, I believe is the sign in. So that's one of the things I would talk about. The other thing is this: all of you work for boards or work with boards, and those boards do press releases all the time. So any of the press releases that you get about what's happening with the market, you can cut and paste that that press release into different programs, and you can analyze it in terms of your marketplace. Like if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see your name. You see your sign-on name. You click on that, and it'll tell you, it'll ask you how you want to be recognized. You know, I'm Richard Silver. I work for Silver Burtnick and Associates at Sotheby's International Realty Canada. There's a team. Here's the people on my team. You can basically educate your ChatGPT as if it was your assistant. So instead of calling up your assistant and saying, "Can you do this for me?" or "Can you do a current market analysis?" it can actually do that for you by using ChatGPT. But when you're starting to use ChatGPT, teach it who you are. Teach it how you want to respond. So I'm the guy, I want to be realistic, but I want to be positive. So I don't want to, I don't want anything that is output by ChatGPT. I don't want to have a negative spin on it. Let's try and find the positive, but let's be realistic. Let's not. So you can add those parameters for everything that's produced out of ChatGPT. So I take the press release, I put it into ChatGPT. I ask ChatGPT to summarize this document or whatever document it is for buyers and sellers in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, blah, 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 blah. I can even get very, very granular and say what district. And then whatever is the output from that, it will be the way I want it to be in the location that I want it, and it'll have hopefully sound like me. And the more
Richard,
you
let me ask you a question on that.
Yeah.
So press releases, a lot of us get verbiage, but some of us get a lot of charts. Can you throw a
Mhm.
chart into
Mhm.
ChatGPT and how will it morph into, and what will it morph into?
You can take a full presentation. You can attach a PDF as
Okay.
well. You can cut and paste, but you can attach a PDF. Let's say you had, a PDF of, 60 or 70 pages. Even what I did is I took a building inspection. And I took the building inspection and I did it as an attachment to ChatGPT. And I said, please analyze this and tell me what the top items are that need to be fixed and what the costs would be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Now, you could do, what are the costs going to be in Hawaii? What are the costs going to be in, Kona? What are the costs going to be in Waikiki? You could be very, very granular with all of this, and it'll give you the information, and the data that it's working from is data that you have inputted, right? A lot of you work for brands. I found that, if you work for a brand, the brand gives you a press release and it's very generic. And my clients want to know how this is going to affect them in Toronto, Ontario. So what I'll do is I'll take that press release, or I'll take the information that came from my company, and I'll put it into ChatGPT and say, can you make this more topical for downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada? So not the suburbs, but just the focus on the, certain areas that maybe I work in. So that is one of the great things about ChatGPT. Then there's another program that I use that I love, and that is called Beautiful.ai. And Beautiful.ai, okay, Beautiful.ai would take the information from the Toronto Real Estate Board that I've gotten it down to about 10 different points about what's happening in the market. And Beautiful.ai will take that information and will put it into a PowerPoint. It'll create a PowerPoint that you can post, present, whatever. And that is, it's amazing. It's amazing what is there for you. And then, I take that once the presentation is done, I add my screens, which include this QR code here that basically is all my information about my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, my phone, blah, blah, blah. So I put that into the presentation and I post that on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and I use that just to let people know that I am so that puts me in front of those people. And there's a question about the paid version.
Right.
Dawn, you had a question there? Or somebody's had a
I
question?
think, is it worth it was the
Oh,
question.
yeah.
We're gonna
Oh,
hold
yeah.
questions and answers to that. Well, I'll let you answer this
Yeah.
one, but we're gonna hold the rest to
Okay.
the end.
Yeah, paid version, definitely paid version. Paid version because you can, okay, I would look at this unpaid version. Your chat GPT is a man in the street or a woman in the street. The paid version is your assistant because you can coach it and you can let it know who you are and how you want it to respond. And that is well worth the $20. There's also part of the paid version is a program called Dolly. So DALLE. And Dolly you can say, like, I see Lisa Wilcox there has an avatar. Hi, Lisa. And one of the things that is quite wonderful with Dolly is Lisa could take her avatar and she could put it into all sorts of visuals. And that would be, you keep on going back. My avatar's got the blue glasses, of course. And I could take that and I could create invitations and all sorts of things. It's like Dolly is sort of like Canva on steroids. But you can say to it each time you go into it, you can say, no, I did one where I thought about what does one need to retire? Okay, so I asked that of ChatGPT. It gave me some information. It gave me about 6 or 7 points, which were absolutely great. And I thought, well, this is great information. Wouldn't this be good to post this with some sort of a visual? So I went to Dolly and I said, Dolly, this is what I'm doing. Here's the context. Can you make a visual for this? So it produced a visual. Well, I looked at it and I thought, well, this is a great visual, but it looks as if everybody's retired and they're sitting in a chair and they're not doing anything. And I see myself as being active in my retirement. So I went back to Dolly and I said, can you make this more active? And it did. And then I kept on fine-tuning it until I got what I wanted. And that's pretty amazing. And the best thing about it is you don't have to worry. You've created this through AI yourself and through Dolly, and you don't have to worry about Facebook saying, you're using a photograph you shouldn't be using, or there's rights here that you haven't accepted. And so I've made a graphic that I'm going to use for the marketing. And no matter what it is, if you're having a party, a birthday party, I'm about to have my birthday in about another month, and a friend of mine said, well, why don't you create something? So I'm going to create something. I've decided that I'm very much into desserts.
Okay,
So,
nothing
so
wrong with that.
the main food group of of our barbecue is going to be a dessert. It'll be cakes, and that's it. I'm going to have, like, little appetizers, come for appetizers and cakes, not cakes. So it'll be a
A
sugar.
robot's going to be serving them. I just figured.
Well, I would, it wouldn't be bad, that would be, depends on how nice the robots are. But I mean, you can do a lot of things and it just will make your business. Now, I have been working with somebody on a new product out of Canada that's going to be launched. We're test group right now, our group, but he has access to the MLS system through my IDX. You know what IDX is, guys? Yeah,
Yes, we all do.
internet. Yeah. Okay. So through my IDX, I've given him access through the board to my IDX. So I can text a phone number and I can say, can you give me all of can you tell me the schools around this property? And I give it the address. And all of a sudden, in about a second, I get all the schools. Can you tell me, are there any building permits on this property? Are there any building permits in the area that will affect the resale of this property? I can go in and ask those text questions of this program. And it's called MAVE, M-A-V-E. Now, it hasn't launched yet in the States, but it basically, what it does is it takes AI and it takes IDX from your internet feed, your MLS feed, and it takes a sort of a Canva based, so it can also create information about your listings that you can just send to your clients directly, and it's already branded. And it can be about a listing you represent or you don't represent, one that's already on the already on your MLS system.
That sounds like an amazing product, particularly because it's so difficult for us to go and find, you have to go to all these different websites to find out, are there open permits? What's the, so it's all this research, and you're right, it does take a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, you have to be in a city or a country that it allows that open access. And some cities do and some cities don't. Toronto, we're very lucky. They have pretty much open access to things. There's another program that I really like, and it is more expensive, but you're going to see other things that are coming up like it. In other words, you can create interactive feature sheets by uploading the photos, and the photo upload creates the content. So if it sees a photo with stainless steel appliances and new kitchen and slate floors and backsplash tiled, whatever, it will actually show you, it'll create an interactive website or in that interactive feature sheet, but it'll create the content from the photo.
And what is that called?
Oh my God, I always forget the name of it.
Because for a second I thought you were going to talk about Studio, and
Studio. That's right.
You are talking about Studio. Okay.
I was talking about Studio.
With
Sorry.
the storybooks. Yeah. So the one thing I did hear about Studio is that it doesn't necessarily get all the features right. So of course it's taking it from a picture. You have to go back in and massage it and say, okay, yeah, that's not really granite. It's, it's porcelain,
one of the things,
or something like that.
One of the first times I used it, I looked at it and I went, wait a minute. Those are not hardwood floors. It's actually tile that looks like hardwood.
Right.
So I had to go in and fix that. But
it's a cool product. A lot of people I know are using it.
Yeah, Studio is great, but it's not.
And that's STUDEO for everybody that's listening.
Yeah, Studio. I like to call it Studio. I don't know, but Studio, yeah.
It's because you're in Mexico.
I said to them, look, this is a great product and I love it and I love talking about it, but you got to bring the price down on it because I think it's quite expensive.
Yeah, it's more for like a large team or a brokerage.
Yeah, with lots and lots and lots of listings. The other thing is, I think you're going to see, and I will tell you this with all of AI, guys, everything that you see, if they offer you a 1-year program, do not take it. If they offer you a free month, go ahead. And if you use it, great. And if you really like it, then you get another month. But don't get into a long-term contract, because by tomorrow, there's going to be 3 competitors out there that are as good or if not better.
Everything changes so quickly.
Everything changes so fast. I mean, I don't know. I guess I got to be the kind of guy who goes out and tries everything, but then I look at my billables sometimes and I'm going, what? I haven't used that for 3 years. I'm still paying, a subscription fund there. That's ridiculous.
For something that's a bit defunct. All right, so we have about a minute left. Any burning questions from anyone? And if so, just unmute and ask.
Please.
All right. Teresa? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Teresa. I have like a gazillion questions and I know we don't have time. And you kind of went over some of the basics. Would you, after a follow-up after this, give some resources, like the things that we talked about, and what other places that we can go and learn? I don't want to take hours and hours, of course, but I like exactly what you did. Say, use OtterBox or Autopilot. Don't buy these products long-term, do the paid subscription. So that summary is great. But I also want to know, where can I go and just say, okay, here are the tips of how this is going to be very effective for you. If it's a follow-up email from this, that would be super.
Why don't I do this? What I'm doing right now is I'm copying a link and I'm going to put it into the chat. Okay.
Thank
This is
you.
the presentation you did for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that was actually
a
sent
lot-
out by email too. I think just
Oh,
to
okay.
maybe go to everybody who was in Toronto.
Okay, so I just posted this. So go to Beautiful AI, save that, download it, go ahead and open it up and look at it and stuff. And it basically, there's a how-to in there. I talk about AI a little bit, and then I also give you some homework, because the thing about AI, which most people don't realize, it needs your guidance. It's the same as if you had an assistant and you said, okay, write something. Well, you can't just do that. You have to say, okay, I need you to write something. It's about this, it's about that, it's about that. It has the timeline, whether it's your newsletter or what, you have to give it guidance. You have to use the prompts. And there's a couple of pages in there that are just prompts that you can cut and paste into your own ChatGPT, and it'll give you some sort of sense as to what the prompts are. But the prompts are so important. And it's the same thing. I mean, your partner's not going to know what you're talking about unless you actually tell them, or no matter what it is, whether it's your business partner or your lover or whatever, you got to talk and talk to ChatGPT. It's not going to understand what it is you want unless you tell it,
Richard, thank you so much for being with us
Pleasure.
today. Muchas gracias. Merci
nada.
beaucoup. There we go. We went from Spain or from Mexico all the way back to Toronto.
Yeah.
Everyone that's been with us today, thank you very much. We are so happy to have you with us. And again, enjoy Mexico and the rest of your time there.
Hey,
And we
Don,
look
how
forward
are
to
you?
seeing you
Hey,
all again
Richard, good to see you.
To see you guys.
All
Thanks
right,
very
everybody.
much. And anytime, and if you want to just text me or email me at, use this QR code. You can get all that information there. You can follow me, whatever. And if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them. Pretty much an open
Appreciate it.
book here.
You're a great guy. Thanks for being with us. All right,
Bye.
everyone. You have a great rest of the weekend and we will see you soon. Take care.
Happy Friday, all.
Thank
Happy
you, everybody.
Friday.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 You.